We do have it at restaurants and things, so it is, I've tried it before, so Daryl, it's quite a nice meat.
Oh, well, I'm anxious to try it at least. What about you, Jason? Where are you guys from?
We're from Idaho.
Oh, really? My wife's from Blackfoot.
So is my wife.
No kidding. Oh, yeah, she went to Blackfoot High.
Okay, what's her name?
Kara Yancey. Yancey family lived on Cromwell Lane. Down by the cemetery.
I knew a Reed Yancey. Reed
Yancey, I don't know.
Blackfoot is a pretty small place, and I went to Blackfoot High also, so.
She graduated 99?
I graduated in 93, so I probably didn't know her, but.
Well, her sisters are, well, we can play this game all day long. I'll try and remember her sister's name. I'm going to be in real big trouble if I don't. Really quickly, though, I want to point out this town here. This town off to our left here is the town of Pahoa that was recently threatened by these lava flows. This, sorry, trying to make a radio call here. So this town here off to our left is the town of Pahoa. This is the most recent natural disaster that hit the island, really. These lava flows came down on the 27th of June. They actually touched the town in October and November, forced the evacuation. The second round of lava flows came through in January and February and came down and forced a second evacuation this year. Those lava flows stopped just 200 feet short of Main Street, half a mile away from Highway 130 back there. Pretty wild. I always question the sanity of people that live on this side of the island. And I mean that gently. But coming from Utah myself, we didn't really ever have to deal with much more than, you know, snowstorms and some really inclement cold weather. That was about as bad as it got, right? You're not really threatened by tornadoes and hurricanes and tsunamis and all kinds of stuff like that. And to come out here and now to be faced with the decision whether or not to get lava insurance from my house is kind of a daunting thing, you know? These people on this side of the island, unfortunately, are not even offered lava insurance because it's so likely that their houses will burn down. I've got a friend out here who told me he's got lava, earthquake, tsunami, hurricane, wildfire, flooding, wild boar stab. He's got a list of insurance that's like a mile long. And I wonder if he still thinks of it as paradise. I've actually been to his house, and it's a really nice little place, but even he doesn't think it's going to survive another 5 years. Now that the lava flows have come down to this area, it's very likely that recurring lava flows will happen here again. And in his opinion, my friend at least that lives here, he doesn't think the town of Pahoa will survive another 5 years. I know of 5 different towns that have already burned down on this side of the island since 1955. It is a very, very dangerous place to live. Now that we're on the Kilauea volcano territory and you're looking out around us at the evidence of all of the natural disasters that have happened recently here, all of these mounds you see off to the left, Daryl, and these are all old eruption sites that have burned down a few towns here on this side of the island. You've got an active eruption site here off to the right. We're going to be spending more time on that here shortly. What I'd like to do is show you what happens to towns out here. There's a couple of towns that have burned down in recent years that I'd like to start over here at the eruption site. We'll go down to the ocean. I'll show you where Kalapana and Royal Gardens burned down, and then we'll head up to the source, the Pu'uo'o vent. I'll show you where it's all coming from. We'll finish up here at these burning trees. So as you can tell, there are various different mounds with obvious craters in them. Every single one of these craters, Carrie, at one time had lava spewing out of them. These Hawaiian volcanoes are called shield cone volcanoes. By their nature, they can have many different eruption sites going at the same time on the same volcano. In fact, this ridge line of eruption sites is called the East Rift Zone of the Kilauea volcano. And you'll see cracks in the ground, fissures, evidence of old lava tubes that have crashed in here and there. This eruption site started on January 3rd, 1983, and it has not stopped since. It's been 32 years of nearly constant lava flows that so far have burned down 54 square miles of rainforest all around us, covered 8.5 miles of public road, destroyed hundreds of homes, 2.5 towns. And it's added more than 500 acres of new land to this island. Primarily what you see out ahead of us here. A couple of things I want to point out as we were heading up this hillside. Off to the left, you're going to see the town of Kalapana. Kalapana was touched by this eruption site in the 90s. Lava flows creeped over Highway 130 there and destroyed 100 homes. All of those houses that you see that have been rebuilt sometimes multiple times since the eruption first came through.
Now you fly around this island all the time. Are there any places right now where there's lava actively flowing into the ocean?
Not since September of 2013, and it was right here. But because of these lava tubes that run under the ground, they're pretty brittle. They're like the subway tunnels that carry the rivers of magma under the surface. That's how most of the magma moves around the volcano. They're so weak, any major earthquake will crash them in, and they'll kind of get a plug and back the pressure up to a different area. And the lava flows move around quite a bit from place to place. But it was flowing down in here until 2013, early fall, September if I remember right. And then once that lava tube crashed in, it went back up to the vent, and then it started flowing down towards the Pahoa area that I showed you earlier. All of this land that you see out in front of us here is some of the youngest land created on the planet. It's 500 acres of new land that's been added to this island just in the last 30 years. Over here on the right, Erica, if you look down in those little islands of trees, you'll see these roads that don't go anywhere. We actually call these the roads to nowhere. These roads are all that's left behind from Royal Gardens, another housing development that was destroyed here in the late 80s and early 90s. 115 houses were burned down on this hillside right here. As I come around this road here, Erica and Derek, look off to your right and you can see Kalapana off your side too. Yeah, you see a road on your side there, Jason. You see two roads over here, Daryl. To me, it always creeps me out just a little bit to look down on these roads and realize that people used to use them to get to work and church and school and stuff. And it's a very not so subtle reminder of what a natural disaster this all has become.
When I was here previously, there were like, this was flowing in this area, and there were like little holes that you could see the magma flow through.
Yeah.
And the steam would be rising out of the little holes.
Skylights.
Yeah, skylights. I guess those are done at this point.
Oh, they open and close in various places all the time. Last time I saw one was a few weeks ago. Opened up for about 2 days and then closed back in. They change pretty frequently. That was lucky you got to see some, because that's a really neat way to kind of get a visual understanding of how the lava tubes work. Sometimes these lava tubes will open up on the surface, little hole, maybe about 5-10 feet wide, but you can actually see the magma river flowing under the ground, like he was talking about.
Yeah, there was probably 3 or 4 at that particular time.
Yeah. Well, there would have been houses back there when you were last here, right? The last house didn't burn down on the hillside.
I really don't recall about the housing.
The last house burned down in 2012, so there would have been one house. In fact, it was owned by a guy named Jack Thompson, and he turned it into a bed and breakfast. You might have even seen flyers on the island for the B&B on the lava field at that time. It's gone now, but that was a really interesting thing to fly around. So this structure out ahead of us now is where this all began. This is called the Pu'u'o'o vent. This is an active cinder cone about halfway down the Kilauea volcano, where the eruption started here in '83 is just a hole in the ground. It took only 3 years to build this cone. It's now about a quarter-mile wide at the base. But this is like a distribution center for this part of the volcano. You can tell there's evidence of older lava tubes that have crashed in here and there, but there is an active lava tube you can identify with that line of smoke and steam. That's where a very literal river of magma is flowing under the ground close to the surface, and you can see all the venting coming up out of that. You'll also be able to see where most of the volcanic venting comes from this side of the island here. The Pu'u'o'o vent pumps out 200,000 tons of VOG every day from here. As we come around here, Carrie, you'll see a lot of equipment set up around the rim of the vent. The scientists that work for the USGS, universities, different agencies have got equipment set up here so they don't have to hike around very often. You can imagine they probably won't want to do that. You'll see web cameras powered by solar panels, geothermal sensors, seismometers, GPS units, all kinds of stuff so they can watch the volcano remotely. Oh, look down in there, Jason.